Hi everyone, it's Joshua Barks here, associate broker with Keller Williams Realty Boise and team lead of the Barks & Co. Real Estate team. Here is this week's update for Market Watch. It's our deep dive into the market dynamics for November of 2022. These deep dives are a little bit longer, so I do include the timeline stamps in the YouTube scroll bar below, and so you can go directly to the sections that are important to you and relevant to you. And for everybody else, we have the highlights coming up where I'll just kind of give you a gist of what's going on before we get into the real deep numbers. So first off, let's get into those highlights. The market is continuing to slow as we get closer to year's end. If you've been watching the channel and staying tuned, that's no surprise. That's basically what we've been seeing week over week. Fewer available homes, fewer homes pending, and that's kind of a continued trend as we get further and further into the holiday season. And that's typically what we see this time of year is lower available homes and lower buying activity. Inventory peaked back in August, and it's been steadily declining since. And we have fewer available homes right now than we actually did at the beginning of summertime. Demand continues to remain slightly lower, however, than typical wintertime lows. So if you look at what demand looked like last winter, the winter before that, even the winter prior to the pandemic, we currently have fewer homes pending than we had then. Not by a significant amount, but it's still less than what we had then, and more inventory than we typically have this time of year, even though it's lower than what we had previously this year. Average sales prices increased month over month in both Ada and Canyon counties. So absorption rates are still showing that we're currently experiencing a seller's market across most price points, though we are continuing that slowdown, which is pushing us closer toward a balanced market. Even though prices are increasing, the average sold price is increasing across the board, it doesn't mean that the prices are increasing for everybody in the same way. That's just the average sales price increasing month over month and, of course, year to date. Buyers have more power actually right now than they've had in years. So if you can afford it and you're a buyer, this holiday season might be the perfect time to get a deal because there's more entry-level available homes. So especially if you're a first-time buyer or even downsizing that entry-level home, there's so many more to choose from, and they're not all hot garbage. Past couple years, we've seen a lot of homes that if they were cheap, it meant they were a complete fixer-upper. And now we're seeing just a lot of opportunities out there because we have even remodeled homes or homes that are just clean and ready and move-inable today. And they're at affordable price points now, which is remarkable. So if you're a first-time buyer or that entry level, you have a lot of opportunities now. Even if you're not a first-time buyer, there are still opportunities because, like I said, there's, an abundance of available listings right now and fewer buyers, so you can still negotiate the price down, maybe even get closing costs paid for, get some repairs taken care of, and things that you haven't been able to ask for the past couple of years. So on the flip side of that, sellers are facing more competition and fewer serious buyers. So pricing your property ahead of the market is going to be super important, as well as making sure the property shows well. So staging great photos, making sure the house is clean and looks great and feels great when you're in it. Those are going to be key to making sure your home sells versus your neighbor's house. And since the median sales price is trending downward, we're seeing, if your home sells sooner than your neighbor, you're probably going to get more than them. Days on market is rising. So we're seeing, again, only the homes that are priced right and look great that are selling quicker than that average days on market. Average days on market for everything that's available right now is like 60 days. But as we get into these market dynamics here, we're going to look at the last 12 months of sales. So the average days on market is going to be in the 20s. So that being said, let's dive into Ada County. And so we're talking about the existing market. We're excluding new construction because those two markets behave a little bit differently. And as always, we're going to start with this market trends chart and dive into that. So it gives us that month over month rolling look at what's going on. So red line being the number of active listings, so your supply. The black bars being the number of closed sales in that month, and then the gray bars being the number of pending sales in that month. So you could kind of look at that as demand. So as you can see, we have just over 1,000 available homes in Ada County right now, which is almost twice as much, actually almost exactly twice as much as what we saw this time last year with 531 available, and significantly more than what we had in 2020, but no surprises there because we had only 85 available at the end of December in 2020. So that was our historic low. So no surprises that we'd be higher than that. When you're looking at the number of pending sales, again, you're seeing that month over month kind of trending downward. So 350 compared to the 400 we had last year, and 350 is half of what we had this time last year, and not quite half, but close to it for what we had in 2020. Again, no surprises year over year. We're in a very different market climate than what we were experiencing this time last year. And again, we have twice as many available homes on the market than we had. So that's leading to, less activity going on out there. We have 408 homes that closed in November compared to the 500 we had just last month, and 710, which we had this time last year, and then 700 the year before that. So we had basically 700 for both 2020 and 2021. And then this year we have 408, so a little bit lower than that, but no surprises there for what we've been seeing going into that. And that trend is likely going to continue through the end of the year, where we have inventory continuing to come down, pending's likely going to come down, maybe plateau a little bit, and then sales coming down or plateauing a little bit as well. I doubt that in any way inventory, demand, or pending or closed sales will go up by next month. But watch me eat those words next month when that report comes out. When you're looking at the average sales price, like I said, average sales price is up. It actually came up month over month. And year to date, we have average sales prices increased by 8.3% in Ada County, with an average sales price, a new historic high of $622,000 and change. So that's right now, we started the year at $575,000 for the average sales price. And then right now we're at $622,000. I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see that stay, close to that 8%, maybe even that 10% that I was projecting earlier in the year. It'd be kind of funny if that prediction came true, because earlier this year we were just hovering right at 6% pretty consistently for a while. So 8% is where we're at right now for that. When you're looking at the pricing breakdown and our absorption rates or months of inventory, we have on average just under 2 months supply, so 1.9 months supply. And with the absorption rate, what that means is if no new homes came on the market and homes continue to sell out at the pace that they're selling currently or have sold in the last 12 months, it would take this amount of time in order to completely sell out of available homes. So on average, if you took everything on average, it would take about 2 months and we'd be completely out of available homes if no new homes came on the market. Average days on market in Ada County, 25 days. Like I said, that's increasing. Last month we saw this at 23 days. But again, if you're looking at everything that's pending right now, we're in the high 50s, maybe even 60 days for that right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see that trend upward, because again, these are based on the last 12 months. So you get those sold sales that took place, earlier this year in 3 days, 1 day, 7 days. And now you're getting the ones that are selling at, 40 days, 45 days, giving us that average of 25. Now, when you're trying to figure out, where our average sales price is heading, it looks like we still have some upward pressure on those. $622,000 is what they've sold for the last 12 months. But the average asking price in MLS right now is just under $705,000. And then the average listing that's marked pending has an asking price of $640,000. The reason I say it's an asking price of $640,000 is because there's no criteria field that specifies what the property is pending for, So we don't know until the property closes what the actual accepted offer was. So my guess, based on the trends out there, is that we're not seeing, homes selling for significantly above asking anymore. So this 640,000 could be, closer to 630, maybe even 625. So just a slight upward pressure on prices. So this is what sellers are getting. This is what they're hoping for. Ultimately, this is what they're getting. And homes on average are selling for 99% of the list price. So they start at 627 and get 622 on average. When you're looking at the top 3 areas in Ada County, Star is still number 1 at 10.6% increase so far this year in the average sales price, with an average sales price of just over $666,000. North Boise came in at number 2 with 10.2% increase so far this year, with $840,000 and change. Kind of funny with that one. It's only increased by like $400 month over month. And then Southwest Meridian at number 3 is up 8.4% so far this year, and average sales price in Southwest Meridian of $700,000 and change. Funny part about Southwest Meridian, I don't know if it's funny, but the average sales price, while it's up 8.4% so far this year, and it is number 3 in all of Ada County for increases in the average sales price, we actually saw this number go down month over month. Last month it was about $705,000. So we were at, I don't know what that is, 8.5, 8.6%. So we saw the average sales price in Southwest Meridian come down month over month, even though they're up in the 3rd spot year over year, or year to date, excuse me. When we're going into Canyon County next, we have, again, we'll start with that market trends chart, and that gives us that look at month over month, what is going on. As always, red line is the number of active available homes for sale, gray bars being the number of pending homes, so kind of your demand, and then the black bars being the number of homes sold in that specific month. And because our typical closing time frame is 30 days, I like to look at that as gray bar in September. We'll look at this one, 241. That's what, people are thinking is going to close. And then in 30 days, this is how many homes actually closed. So 241 homes went pending, then 215 closed. 186 went pending, and then 179 closed. That's not exactly how it works, but if you're looking at averages being 30 days from pending contract to closing, that's kind of what you're seeing there. So more homes are staying together. I would anticipate that when we look at December's numbers, so in the beginning of the next year, once December has happened, we'll likely see the number of sold homes for, pending right now being 138. Maybe it'll be close to that number. It could be a little bit more. That's possible, but my guess is that we're actually going to see that a little bit less, because that's typically what we see. So we have 552 available homes right now, which is twice as much as what we had this time last year. Of course, significantly more than we had in 2020 when we had our historic low. So no surprises there. When you're looking at the number of pending sales, we have 138, which is down just slightly month over month. Year over year, though, it's about half as much, where we had 315 last year. And of course, we had 313 in 2020. So it stayed pretty consistent 2020 to 2021. When the market was crazy, we had frenzy going on. Now that we no longer have that, this is what we're experiencing. Slower than what we typically see this time of year, but it is our slowest time of year in general. When you're looking at the number of homes sold, we had 179 homes closed in November, which again is about half as much as what we had this time last year, and then slightly less than what we had this time last month. When you're looking at the average sales price in Canyon County, we actually have appreciated. The average sales price has come up higher than Ada County, 8.8% instead of 8.4%. And the average sales price in Canyon County is now $437 and change. So we started the year at $402,000. Now we're up to $437,000. I wouldn't be surprised if we continued that trend upward, not by a significant margin. No one's expecting 35%, 20%, 15%, but we might end the year around, 9 or 10% It's possible that we go backward a little bit as well, where the average sales price comes down, because we've seen that earlier this year. But I'm anticipating we'll pretty much end the year around that 9-10% in both Canyon County and Ada County. When you're looking at the absorption rate through the different price points that we have, so broken down by price point and then the absorption rate months of inventory, the average supply we have is 2.2 months supply. Days on market has increased, so we have 23 days instead of 21. 2.2 months supply. The absorption rate means if no new homes came on the market, it would take approximately 2.2 months to completely sell out of available homes if no new homes came on the market and they continued to sell at their current pace. So a seller's market is defined as less than 4 months. A balanced market is between 4 and 6 months, and then anything greater than 6 months is considered a buyer's market. So no surprises, in Canyon County, we're experiencing a buyer's market in the over $1.5 million price point. And then below $1.5 million, we're still experiencing a seller's market, except for, ironically, in the entry level right now, where we have almost 5 months supply. So a balanced market in that 2 to 250 range, and a balanced market in that 1 to 150 range with 4 months supply there. But the rest is still experiencing a seller's market. Now, when you're looking at the average sales prices, again, this is kind of where I figure average sales prices are potentially going to go down in Canyon County, but maybe stay around that, 8% range, 8-10%. We have what sellers have gotten over the last 12 months, 437,000. Well, the average asking price right now is 496. So that generally means that we're seeing an upward pressure on prices. But if you look at the average pending right now, the average pending listing has an asking price of $432,000. And homes are not generally selling for over asking price. In fact, sellers are getting 99% of their asking price on average. Not exactly how that sold to ask ratio works, because the average skews that a little bit. Because it doesn't mean that sellers are getting, 1% less than what they're asking, but average prices, that is the case. But it doesn't mean, go in and offer 1% less and that means you get it and that the seller accepts that necessarily. It still means that we're seeing a lot of homes sell for close to asking price in order to get an average that's almost 100%. But that's neither here nor there. The 432,000, that's the average asking price of homes that are marked pending. And since we know that people aren't generally getting, significantly more than their asking price, it's possible, entirely possible, that once these homes close, that'll bring this 437 down closer to that 432 number. So Canyon County top 3 areas, we're seeing Greenleaf still at number 1 with almost 14.5% increase in the average sales price so far year to date. 490,000 and change is what we have in Greenleaf. Middleton, number 2, still at 13% so far increase this year, just under 560,000. And then new number 3, kicked out Parma. Northeast Nampa came in at number 3 with 12.5% increased year to date. The reason I'm excited about that specifically is because Greenleaf, Middleton, and Parma, well, specifically Greenleaf and Parma, I guess Middleton, there's a lot more rooftops out there, but Greenleaf and Parma are smaller areas, so smaller sales. So any sales that happen really generally tend to skew the numbers, while Northeast Nampa is a huge area, and Middleton itself is comparable to what we have going on in Northeast Nampa. So seeing that those are neck and neck, 13% and 12.5% is pretty awesome. 450,000 is the average sales price in Northeast Nampa right now. And that's number 3. So I wouldn't be surprised if that maybe remained number 3 as we got into the rest of the year. So we won't know till December is over, so the beginning of next year. But that's what we're having for Canyon County. Let's talk about interest rates. The cool thing about interest rates, especially like I said for buyers right now, is that they've gone down the past couple of weeks. Last month, when we were covering the market dynamics, we were at just over 7%, 7.1 or 7.08, I think is what it was. But right now, we have an average 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 6.33%, which is, again, down from that 7% number. Oh, yeah, 7.08. That was where we were. Perfect. So we have that, and that's continuing to trend downwards. A lot of cool things with lenders these days. They're offering all sorts of incentives in order to lock your rate to avoid for it going higher, but then also adjusting it downward should rates go down. So you'll have to make sure you talk to your lender, or talk to your real estate professional to set you up with a lender that has specials like that going on, because that is super, super valuable. I have lenders that I work with right now, my top two actually, have this program where if you buy a home now and decide to refinance anytime in the next 5 years, essentially, after 6 months of having it, you can refinance, and it's a lot cheaper to refinance through them because they give you all sorts of lender credits and things like that. I'm not going to go into specifics because it's not my program. I'm not here to promote that necessarily, but I know that programs like that exist, and so that's really exciting for buyers to buy now at this potentially higher rate, and then later on down the road when rates go down, as we hope they do, then you can refinance. So you can buy now, get a great price, maybe not an awesome rate, but much better than what we've seen the past couple of months, and then refinance later on down the road. Now, for sellers, I've talked about this at the very beginning. If you're thinking about buying or selling right now, here's kind of what you need to know if you're a seller and or if you're a buyer. So for sellers, make sure your home stands out against the competition. You want to make sure you have a very attractive price, that your property is really attractive, great photos, staging, it's clean. At the bare minimum, it's clean. You've taken care of, maybe some minor handyman projects around the house to make sure that people, when they walk into your home, they don't go, oh, well, this window's broken or whatever. If this window's broken and that's a really easy fix, I wonder what else is wrong. Because you don't want buyers to be thinking that, especially when they have so many other options out there. You want them to walk through the home, you want that window already fixed, and then, then the buyers can focus on the house itself rather than going, oh, well, if this is wrong and if this is broken, what else? Was the home not cared for? Things like that. So that's going to be key. Price ahead of the market and make sure that your house looks great in photos and equally great in person. Buyers, you have the most power right now, especially because you haven't had power in the past couple of years. And that's largely due to competition being minimal. So know what you can afford, know what you're comfortable with on pricing as a buyer, and then make sure your agent knows the ins and outs of the market and is able to negotiate on your behalf. Because like I said, you could get closing costs paid for you, you can get repairs taken care of, and get a lower purchase price, depending on the property. So there are a lot of specifics that go into that, but buyers, you have the most power right now, and you have so many options, especially first timers. You haven't had this many options in years, literally years, and it's phenomenal. If I was in that bucket, that would be something I would be jumping on right now, because there's just so much opportunity for that entry level and lower end price point that is great. Some great property at some amazing prices. So that's kind of what we have there. If you're trying to time the market, this is the question I'm still getting all the time. When is the best time to buy or sell? Well, really it comes down to, do you have a good enough reason to move, and can you afford it? So if you have a good enough reason to move, well, then move. If you can afford it, even better, you should move. If you can't afford it, well, that's your reason to stay put. So if you answer yes to both of those questions, though, it might be a great time. Talk to your real estate professional. We would love to be interviewed to give you the information that you need in order to decide if you have a good enough reason to move and figure out what's best for you and your family. The time in the market is more important than time in the market, because nobody knows what's going to happen in the market. So you never know if it's the perfect time to buy or the perfect time to sell. And you just have to, if it's right for you, it's right for you. And if it's not the right time for you, it's not the right time. So you just have to decide. It's a personal question. It's not what's happening in the market, because every market has pros and cons, depending on if you're a buyer or a seller, or even both. So make sure that you know what you are doing for your situation and your family, and that's what we're here for. That's what I'm here to help answer and uncover. So that's today's deep dive. If you have any questions or want me to cover other things in these deep dives, please reach out and let me know. I want to make sure that you find these valuable. I put a lot of time and effort into this. So also make sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video if you enjoyed it, and leave comments. We love the engagement. Helps with the algorithm. And if there's anything we can do for you, please reach out. My number 208-914-1095. You can also visit me on my website. You can book a consultation with me directly through my website. Actually, we have that program available, so you can go on there. You don't even have to talk to me. You just click a couple buttons and say, I'm a buyer, I'm a seller, here's the date and time that works for me, and it pops it right on my calendar. So super easy, straightforward. Beyond that, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week for Market Watch, and it's just going to be our short week over week update on those numbers. Well, thanks so much.